What I want to start off with is a little conspiracy theory. No, not even that. But listen, Jericho has been teasing leaving AEW. The rumors have been floating around forever. Conan. Okay. And our friend of the show, Husey, producer of K100, has speculated a few times that Jericho maybe doesn't like going to the airport and people are like, when are you coming back to wrestling, man? And he's like, well, I'm in AEW. What's AEW? That guy literally said that to Jericho on his pod. Apparently Fozzie's ticket sales
Allegedly.
were down and shit. The cruise ticket sales, you have to imagine, are down. And Chris Jericho is a guy that the WWE fan base seems to want back, whereas the AEW fan base have been chanting like, please retire at him and whatnot. I know that the wackos on Twitter and aren't big Jericho fans, but the casual WWE fan, they're all sitting there like, where is Jericho?
Idiot.
Like, where has he been? And, we've been talking about the Jericho cruise. Like, we chronicled the whole thing and did a whole segment on it this last year. And I was looking forward to doing it again this year. But I've been pitching to you guys. I'm like, man, Jericho should go back to WWE. Like, he could partner with Fanatics. He could do Fozzy shows. Like, Fozzy gets a resurgence. He could do shows wherever WWE's doing PLEs. He could do podcasts. Think about all the podcast guests he'd be able to get, celebrities and, WWE superstars. His podcast could be, Talk as Jericho could partner with Fanatics, could be his next move. Imagine Jericho at Fanatics. Imagine him on a part-time deal. I've even pitched, imagine John Cena beating him as his final opponent. Cena's final opponent is pinning Jericho, the guy who helped AEW launch Mr. WWE, right? He beat Mr. TNA. It would be, I think that's a good pitch, right? I agree, though, with the folks saying just let John go with who. If he wants to wrestle Matt Cardona, I'm down, for his final match. I don't care. It could be against anyone. Jericho, imagine his boat sales. We're calling his boat ticket sales. What is it? A cruise, right? His Carnival cruise sales. What they would do if he got away from AEW and if he partnered with WWE, AAA, and TNA. Think about how hot WWE might even steal. WWE and Fanatics might already be planning on doing this thing. They could test it with Jericho's name on it first. You know what I mean? They could do a pro wrestling cruise once a year or something like that. Who knows? But Jericho, we've been talking about this for a long time. He should go back to WWE. I've been an advocate for it. I know a lot of people are like, all that. His deal, if we're to believe the dirt sheets, his deal's up in September or December, I think, is what they were all saying. So it's either already up and we don't know, or it's coming up in December and he could show up for the Rumble in January. We also know Tony Khan was giving his dance around the crowd. Jericho is great, and whatever he chooses to do, it's great, and I have tremendous respect for Jericho, and it's great. That is all Tony said. He doesn't seem so confident, at least in my opinion. What happens is, and I've specifically pitched this a babillion times here on the show, dude, if he needs to get away from AEW, like how are the boat? I remember when his cruise, the Jericho cruise, was like this big deal and they were even filming it for TV. And okay, they stopped doing that entirely. And in my opinion, like when I posted about this, some people I saw commented like, oh, Jericho's still doing his cruise. And maybe they're just trying to be funny, but I don't think these cruises are as poppin' as they once were. He's on his 7th one. Okay. And I've pitched this, dude. Think about what would happen to the cruise if he had AAA, TNA, WWE, NXT, like even they don't even have to send main roster guys. They can send NXT guys on the boat for Jericho. Think about what that would do for his boat sales and all this, right? Also, we've chronicled here at PWT, and I've gotten into this argument with sickos, and we're going to talk more about this tonight when it pertains to New Japan USA and their show that's coming back. Or it's the first time in like I think a couple years or a year plus or something that they're bringing back a New Japan USA show, because AEW was supposed to help New Japan expand in the USA. They haven't. When Wrestle Kingdom did their show at the top of the year here, January. The next night was AEW versus New Japan. Wrestle Kingdom outsold New Japan. Or Wrestle Kingdom outsold New Japan versus AEW is what I mean to say, right? So New Japan by itself outsold AEW versus New Japan. A bunch of motherfuckers tried to say, well, the second night of Wrestle Kingdom always sells less tickets. Okay, then isn't that why this year they partnered with AEW on that show the next night to try and sell more tickets? Like, isn't that why you would do that? Or why else are they doing that? Why are they breaking from norm and bringing in the AEW folks? Because maybe they thought it would sell more fucking tickets and like match the ticket. I don't know, but to me, if I'm running up, that's where I'm going with it. That's my logic. That's my train of logic. That's where it's going to. We're bringing the AEW guys in so we can sell more tickets on the second night. No, we're partnering with AEW to do better in the US. They're a US based company. No, is that not that's the idea, Brian? Is that not why you do that shit? Tickets, AEW hasn't helped New Japan ticket sales in the US or Japan at all. And I don't think it's helped this fucking boat either. It hasn't helped Ring of Honor. Has it helped CMLL? I don't know, man. Wrestling in Mexico's hot as fuck. When AEW goes to Mexico and does a show with CMLL, it's hot as fuck because CMLL's already selling out and is hot as fuck. So is it helping? I don't think AEW's helping them. Maybe CMLL's helping AEW get more popular in Mexico. But this is what Jericho fucks around and does. Okay? This is what he does.
You just made the list.
He releases the list, the layout of who's going to be on 7th cruise of a 7th cruise. I thought he'd do some 7 Seas or whatever. That was my prediction. But November 7 to 11, 2026, Miami to Bimini, Bahamas. Regent of the Rager, Chris Jericho. And then you have VIPs at sea. Now look at this. And some people are saying this. Like, there's a comment here, November 26 is a long way away. There's 800 fucking names on this list. You don't think that this is, and this is what Jericho had to say about, this is Jericho_Cruise. This is his direct quote here, but it's like, no, what are the odds they just last minute add a bunch of AEW people? Now, I think being associated, like, oh, it's the cruise and it's going to be an AEW sicko fucking cruise. Like, is that the perception? I don't know. I've fallen off the fucking cruise wagon a little bit. That's why we did the bit last year. I was like, I feel like there's no hype, and we got to talk about all the funny shit that happened on this cruise. You had Will Ospreay like drunkenly wrestling fans and shit in the fucking corridor, and maybe Jericho's trying to get away from that. This year, we've had smelly sicko stories. We've had fucking pedo catcher YouTubers. We had fucking sickos keeping guys in their basements and shit. I don't know, man. Maybe Jericho's literally and figuratively trying to get away from the stink of that. Okay, I'm not sure. Whether it be body odor or rotting corpses, which I guess is also body odor in a morbid way, but I digress. Jericho says, get ready to rock harder, laugh louder, and party longer. Yeah. Chris Jericho's a rockin' wrestling rager at sea. 7th cruise of a 7th cruise. Set sail November 7/11, 2026, round trip to the Bahamas. Someone also told me that they went on a Jericho cruise. I think someone in Discord said that they went on a Jericho cruise the one year and the weather was bad, so they just rotated. They just like did laps in the water and then went back or whatever. And I mean, that could happen on any cruise. That's the risk you run, but it's just funny. So for 4 nonstop days of wrestling, rock and roller, comedy, podcasts, and absolute mayhem, we're taking the energy sky high aboard the Norwegian Jewel. Rage along at ringside, celebrate Chris Jericho's birthday on the beaches in Bimini, and experience all new onboard madness. All new onboard madness. What's all new about it? I'm telling you guys right now, he distanced from AEW. Why? They ain't helping New Japan. They ain't helped CMLL. They ain't helped Ring of Honor. They ain't helped no indies. WWE IDs tremendously helped indies. Now, some people argue, well, Mercedes Moné's helping the indies. If there was no fucking, if AEW was out of the picture and she could get the same money to wrestle in Japan in the indies, she would. Okay? It's not about AEW or WWE to her. It's about this thing she's fucking it's her doing her thing. everywhere. So yes, she's done a bunch of indies. She's done tent shows, and I actually applaud Monet for that, because she actually is doing the shit she said she was gonna do. She's like, I'm gonna fucking wrestle everywhere. You're gonna see me on. She was talking all that shit, and she's actually doing it. Whether it's cringe or not, that's another discussion. I'm just talking about her actions, okay? And you know, these shows in Winnipeg and Denmark and shit, they're getting bumps in attendance. And the promoters have come out and said it because Monet's on these shows. And that's why it's not, when people say like Tony Khan has all these indies, like he's paying them, or Tony Khan's booking her in these indies to win these titles. No, I've defended her on that shit. Okay. We all do know, we know what they say.
Sometimes in life, you got to be a hoe.
Which is true. I've defended her on this, where these feds want to give her this fucking belt because it means she's got to come back and drop it, or it means AEW is going to owe them someone to come back and drop it, or a match, or some shit. You know what I mean? Like it's going to go from her to another AEW person on their show, or their show's going to get promoted on AEW, which again, I don't know how much that's worth, but and it's not from the belt. It's like, let's say Monet returns there to drop the belt to one of their girls in that Denmark fucking tent show. Okay, that's a boost for them. Let's say that Denmark tent show gets a plug and the title gets shown on TV and their logo and all this shit because she defends that belt against someone on AEW. That could be a W. I mean, I don't know how much getting TV time on AEW really helps you. But you guys get, or let's say they send Sky Blue down there to take it off Monet at that Denmark tent show. That's a W for them. You guys know what I mean? It does help their business and shit. But as far as like the indies as a whole, like WWE just released all these NXT Evolve talent who had a daddy magic taste of what the industry's like at the highest level and what to look forward to, or how to conduct themselves more professionally. Okay. And shout out, you know, like buddy of the show, JJ Alexander, he like books indies, and he's like, well, fuck, people go to AEW and go to WWE for a coffee, and then their fucking rate goes up. And that's true. That is true. We've also weighed out the benefits and the negatives comparatively when it comes to WWE ID and AEW. And some of these guys, yeah, maybe their rates do go up and shit, but they just unleashed a bunch of like really professional, hopefully more professional and focused young folks back into the indies. Like it can only rub off positively on other people as well in and around the regional scenes and shit. That's my perception of it. So has AEW done that? I don't know. Maybe you could argue they've helped some indies, but they haven't helped. The greater point, to get back to the point, okay, that I'm making here, they haven't helped New Japan. CMLL's already hot. Ring of Honor's a dud. AEW's a dud. So Jericho distances himself as well. Oh shit, my guy. Oh my god.
You what?
Tony.
You fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up.
Tony, you fucked up. And Jericho's doing this show away from AEW. No AEW, not even a hint of it anywhere. And we don't even know if he's contracted, or when his contract's up, or if he had allotted time off that he took, or if he's doing all of this to drum up peak interest, then he shows back up in AEW, which would just be a wet fart. So it wouldn't matter. But speaking of wet farts, man, there will be a lot of wet farts on this cruise for sure. And the VIPs at sea, and I'm not talking about the talent, right? I'm trying to make you're at sea in your swim trunks, you got a wet ass. No? Okay, I'm a hack, I know. VIPs at sea, Jeff Hardy, Saraya, the Great Muda. So that rules. TNA / WWE X. Like, Saraya's not in fucking AEW anymore. Muda was connected to Nuge and Noah and shit. I think he was connected to Noah, right? And he is no longer even signed with New Japan or anything like that. I think he's just, he retired. He got inducted in the Hall of Fame. He's just doing appearances and shit now. Sovereign Sailors. So Pro Wrestling Nation, Dave LaGreca, Nick Nemeth, Bully Ray. Oh, so Busted Open, the guys that Tony Khan fucking hates. Nick Nemeth and Bully Ray, TNA and TNA. Okay. Sorceress of the Sea, Elena Black. Elena Black. Why her? Well, she's not signed to AEW and she just left WWE. And I've said this a bunch of times, with all the people on the indies and with the folks that TNA, like the way TNA does their deals, you could start a whole fed with guys. You have Karrion Kross out there. You got fucking Cora Jade and all these people, right? You got Matt Cardona out there. You got all these guys. You could start a fed with all of the people who are not in WWE or AEW anymore. Chris Jericho went the complete. This is why I love this. If going the complete like indie wrestling con route, Jericon, okay, let's say doing this completely independent of AEW or WWE works better for him monetarily than last year or the year before, where he had full-blown AEW involvement and all that shit. It's just going to be hilarious. Brandon Thurston, if you're out there, Thirsty Thurston, dude, I'll only do my impression of you one time this next week if you do the WrestleNomics on what Jericho's boat shows have all done. Boats and hoes, boats and hoes. I'll only make fun of you one time, okay? I'm joking, dude. But yeah, Thirsty Thurston or somebody should jump on this and break down what he's made year over year or like estimates or whatever and see if going completely without AEW helps him or harms him. I think he knows that this is going to help him. And I think he knows people like myself and others are going to go, holy fuck, no AEW people. It became a whole news story. And shout out Husey for sending me this. Because again, I made a smarmy tweet. I was like and retweet this one before everyone else steals it and doesn't tag me. Chris Jericho, I'm just being it because that's what the sheets do. Someone tweets some shit out or they watch something on a show and then they go, oh, we did it first. Then they fight over who talked about it first. Okay, we're making fun of fucking Meltzer over here, but again, I was on this one and the sheets did what they did. Elboo's guy I saw grab my shit like 20 minutes later, posted it. Didn't tag. It's all good. Where are we here? Master of Mirth, Brad Williams. Prime Passengers. Listen to this. Listen to these names. Ted DiBiase. What? Where's the fucking what? I'm going to what you all out of here till everyone stops watching this fucking show. What? We got Carlito. Shotzi. Fred Ottman. Vampiro. Buff Bagwell. The Blue Meanie. AJ Francis. We got a wooden leg and a parrot. Natalia Markova, Victoria Crawford. We got Kid Chocolate, Mojabari, Indy Hartwell, Lacey Lane, Casey Catanzaro. Dude, they got KC2 together. Jericho booked Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter together before AEW
Stupid idiot.
Tony Khan launches a whole tag team title division for women, right? Shows the belts on pay-per-view and TV and all this, right? Has only Caden Carter show up and not KC2 and put them in a tag and let them do their flippy tag moves that their fans would have eaten up and have them be legit names to get to the end of a women's tag tournament, then have your team beat them, right? And like do a little pass of the torch. You only need like a 3-month deal for each of them to get that done. Fucking guy, man. Booker of the year. So Jericho, Booker of the year, swoops in for Booker of the year. Jericho, let's fucking go, chat. Jericho, we're voting him.
You
Booker
just made the
year.
list.
Put KC2 together before Khan could even do it. Ricky Knight Jr., Sonny Ono, Giga Chad, Chris Van Vliet, Gabby Laspiza, and then here's the rock and roll party. We're plugging the whole thing. Shout out Jerry. We should get on this fucking Jericho cruise, PWT universe. Fozzy, the Iron Maidens, Quarantine, which is Jericho's Kiss cover band. Guardians of the Jukebox, Downstate. They got Downstate, dude. Killer Dwarfs, The Violent Hour, Beasto Blanco, Peroxide, which is Jeff Hardy's band, The Little Miss Nasty, Jeremy Would Let Me Down, David Roy, Dueling Pianos. Liner Laughs, April Macy. And it's so funny because people are like, oh, they could add more people to this. What? No, they're not going to overbook it. What are you talking about? Booker of the year, fucking Jericho, dude. Liner Laughs, April Macy, JB Ball, Marcus Monroe. Live podcast. Listen to this. No hate, EW, no fucking Swerve's House, no, who are these sickos with the Nana coffee? Fucking none of these guys are on here, right? None of these pods. Listen to it. It's Talk is Jericho, The Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader, and Rule Breakers with Saraya. No fucking AEW, nothing. There's no AEW presence on this. Assistant Captain Ted Irvin, Mr. Mixologist Red Cup Jeff, Paranormal Activities Sarah Lamos, who's a medium, Winifred Schrader, tarot card readings. More to be announced. So he is saying more to be announced. It says at the bottom here. But I doubt that they just over flood it with AEW talents. Now, if some AEW talents, they're allowed to do indies and shit too. But all I'm pointing out is notice the key thing is Jericho's marketed it this way every fucking year. It's Dynamite from the show, Ring of Honor from the ship, Ring of Honor from the ship, CMLL versus Ring of Honor. He did that one year where it was all the companies versus each other. I think it was like Ring of Honor versus CMLL versus AEW or whatever at sea. There's no sniff of AEW. So if there's some AEW people who are the more to be announced after last minute, okay, that's awesome. But wouldn't those names be like the marquee names? No, Jeff Hardy, Saraya, and the Great Muta are the marquee names. It's not fucking Yuta and Orange Cassidy again or none of that shit. Okay. And people are going to cope over this. They're going to pretend like this doesn't mean anything. I think this means Jericho sees the writing on the wall with the business as well. He could go the indie route. I'm Canadian, so fuck you. And or he can and possibly work his way with Fanatics. Imagine Fanatics took this idea over. Or like Jericho did his own thing, but Fanatics did something like this for WWE fans, or they co-promoted it with him, or his podcast got involved with Fanatics. And here's the thing. I know folks are like, oh, Tony will give him all this money. Jericho doesn't care about money anymore. He's got all the fucking money in the world. Now he does when it comes to like, okay, he's not going to put all this money up for this cruise and then take a huge hit on it, right? If he walks out of it with and made some money on it, I'm sure he's happy, you know? When it comes to guys like Jericho and these artists, these not only pro athletes, but actors and entertainers and musicians, which pro wrestlers are both of those things. They have the ego of athletes and they have the ego of artists wrapped into one because they're competing in sports and entertainment and doing art at the same time. It's like a really weird fucking thing you're doing. And so for folks like that, man, relevancy is key, man. Like being famous, like having that void. There's like a void in Jericho's soul that can only be filled by like arenas yelling for him and shit. For sure, you know, he likes being in the spotlight. He's an entertainer. He that, you know, all of these folks, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm just saying that it is sort of like a fucking sickness, the need to perform and entertain and shit. Okay. Creative people understand that. And for Jericho, it's more than that. He's got all the money in the world. He made all the money off Tony Khan in the last 6 years. Like, what else does his kids are his kids done school? His kids are all probably almost done school. What else does he got to fucking do? You know, his last run. Why not his last year or two in the business? Why does he wants it? He wants to be partnered with Fanatics and Cena's last match and having a moment at WrestleMania during its hottest period. And he wants to go to Perth where Buddy Matthews isn't fucking rolling his ankle in a shoddy 14-foot by 14-foot ring or whatever. He wants to go there when the building's shaking and they're going, you know, Jericho, Jericho, or whatever the fuck, right? Please don't do that. But you know, he wants Fozzy to have another number one single. He loves going and singing at these shows. The attendances are down. He wants to go and have life put back. He wants his pod to do a deal with Fanatics and be a part of that and be a part of all of those major league sports names and all that shit and all the actors and athletes and superstars they get involved in Fanatics and all of that. That's what Jericho wants. So I'm going to bat for Jericho. Anybody who thinks that like Tony's bag that he's willing to give him, the money bag, not the other one. Hey-o. You know, that's not the end all be all for guys like Jericho who have it all already. You know, he wants the fucking adulation. He wants that Hall of Fame induction. He wants that one last Mania match on one of these crazy fucking stages. He wants to go through a Slim Jim table. He wants to fucking fight Punk or whatever. Make these big money, like, oh, there's money. Okay, do big money matches. And he could bring back the highlight reel. He could help get guys over like Grayson Waller and Dom Mysterio and shit if he decides to go babyface. The opportunities are endless, and this is like something I predicted that was going to happen, that more and more we'd see people separate from AEW. We'd see New Japan even go, hey, we'll still work with AEW, but like we're fucking over here now. We'll work with anybody. But they did just make Takeshita their champion, which we're going to talk about in a bit. And yeah, I am excited for the 7th cruise of a 7th cruise. And he's saying 7th cruise of a 7th cruise. So, like, is this his last one? Does he mean this is the last one? I'm not sure. But hopefully he continues this in another form, and he could go pitch this to Fanatics, or they could just steal this. They could listen to this pod and just start doing it. Jericho stole this idea from fucking other people, right? The cruise has been a thing for a long time. And I just think it's entirely suspect and more than interesting that he is moving entirely away from AEW during this cruise.